welcome, trolls. First sees all.
Hi everyone, Bruce Swartz here. Thank you very much for taking the time to subscribe to the channel. This is an infrared, these rare captures of something spiraling by that we can see turning, going by a beautiful star. So what do you think of bringing down the exposure on the video on the surface? Those are craters. They look like fires, literally. There are energy sources on the surface. Here's a line that appears because there's several lit objects on the surface, and I believe the dusts, hazes, clouds, natural or not, is what's showing us that there's a lot more light on the surface and light sources. See the way these lights activate themselves, they really don't look like the sun. They look like blinkers, literally. One of my favorite areas at the bottom of Copernicus crater. We could see trenches, pipes, columns, tunnels, corridors. I don't know what to call them. I know that they sure as hell look constructed, that's for sure. Do you see the descending levels too, where the pipe goes down and then veers back up? They're going into the ground. I'll show you more pipes in the ground, some of my favorite areas. We have plenty of research to do, guys, so let's enjoy these. Even if you've seen some of them before, I know we've seen these before. I go back to the same areas very often to show you guys different angles and to explain better. Look at the separation there. It's like the pipe separates at one point. You can see it's two constructed objects where there's a separation. And if you look closely, at times you could swear that you could see beams or whatever, structures holding up like arms, if you want to call them. Look at this, at the bottom of Copernicus crater. Now, whether it be natural or not, I don't think it's natural, but it's let's just call it anomalies for right now. But I want you to pause it, or back it up and look at the connections. There's not one object that is out of place. It's all built, symmetrically built, deliberately, different layers, pathways, and everything. Whether they be bases or not, that I have no idea, but I know they're really down there. And again, look here, you take down the light and you can see that line of smoke that's showing us the lights on the surface. So I just showed that red light again, which is pretty intriguing. So you see all the colors, gases, smokes, hazes. Under that, there's activity. You know, you have movement. Let's go over to Aristarchus crater. Let's look at the lights on the surface. And now here the exposure is taken down a tad, let's say. Well, now, almost completely taken down. But why am I doing that? Because I want us to focus on just the lights, the flickering. Just analyze it. There's nothing I need to say. Just look at what you're looking at. Look at where the arrow is pointing. Look at how the lights appear on the video and how they flash, how they light up, how it's a little different, the flashing tint compared to the light intensity, I should say. It looks like a flash or something that is not the same as the lights that we're seeing on the surface. Different types of lights, maybe, I don't know. Here with the green filter, which I always like using, it relaxing on the eyes. Look at the lights flickering inside of Aristarchus crater. You could literally see lights and they move, okay? That's the most impressive thing. So what do you call these? UFOs? They're on the surface of the moon. Smack dab on the surface. I'm pressed up against Aristarchus crater, and that's what I can see. This is how I do my experimentation, by observing the video, slowing them down, taking down the exposure and analyzing what's flickering and slowing it down to see if it's, just flickering light from the sun or if it's actually something like, you see the one on the bottom under the circle is remaining lit, and then some of them go out. They go out not simultaneously, and they're not flickering, by the way. They're more like going on, staying on for a while, then going off. Here we are, Aristarchus crater, the Aristarchus plateau. At the back, the arrow's there. That's where Aristarchus is, like right in the center, and that's where we were seeing the lights that were flickering. Along the plateau, we can see descending levels with massive structural lines, anomalies, and objects. Just like here, one of my favorites. That's right. What crater is this? If you don't know, it's because I'm not posting it enough. No, it's Copernicus crater. I'm sure most of you remember me having posted it many ways, many times, and talk about it. No, it hasn't been 10 years. It's been a year. But I mean, people think that, Anyways, NASA photos are so old, so I got 60 years to show this, so I'm good. So check the crack on the right there, the lines, crevices. It looks like everything's cracked, but then you look closely and you say, no, it ain't cracked. It's dug out. That's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at a manipulated, dug out surface of the moon. And all this dirt across the entire moon was hauled here and there to make mountainous areas where it looks like they're covering up these bloody tunnels. So obviously what they dug out is what they use to hide the entire structural surface, the anomalies, everything. We can see some are so apparent because they're so high off the surface. Okay, maybe there's some that they can't hide, right? They've been there for ever so long. Right here at the bottom of Copernicus, definitely structures, and not one. And they're massive long lines and columns. This would be about 10 to 13 kilometers long. It's going inside of the ground, and it's about 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers from Copernicus. The white ridge on top left, that is Copernicus. That is the ridge wall. We're even still right on, all around Copernicus right there. And look at the colors on the surface. This is not saturated. The exposure is simply taken down, and it's showing us this real green on the surface around many craters. I'll show you some more greens later. Here, I call this, we're in the Apennine Mountains. This is, look at all the connections, right? It looks like a train central or something, obviously not, but look and say to yourself, this is the highest point on the surface of the moon. Look at those massive lines that are thousands of feet, 12,000 to be exact, up on the mountainous areas in the Apennine Mountains. The connections, they go up and down. Okay, and you see that at times some of these areas even look like they're actually busted up, right? Whether there's missing areas for whatever the reason. See how hard it is to see? Well, this is how I'm examining the surface. It's never easy. So that's why people say, well, why doesn't everyone else see it? Well, they're looking at it right there, but it's not apparent. Unless you examine the surface, unless you're a freak like me and start really examining the surface and then find a way to magnify it properly without pixelating the image, like I've been doing for years, and we can see all this detail. It's absolutely fantastic. Look here, along the Terminator line. Doesn't look like much, right? We're along a crater too, and here we just see these lines, whether it be a natural line of water that dripped or ejecta, I don't know, but we still see them side by side. This large crater, all the greenery that's around it, here Sinus Iridum, is naturally appearing in the image. I'm not adding color. I'm descending the exposure. That's all I'm doing. Here's Sinus Iridum, a little bit sharpened. So, if they're sending a rover to the moon, IRIS, in 2021, do you not think if it would be possible, I doubt it, but let's say there's no aliens, they would be roaming through these tunnels? Definitely. Would they be able to do that? Look at the apparent amazing truth inside of the crater where I showed you guys the real city. Look what we're looking at. We're looking at massive beams, columns. Again, I don't know what to call them. They look out of place. They look totally constructed. They blend in with the surface. There's smokes and hazes around it. By descending the exposure, we could see some hints of these structures, like I'm showing you right now, right? Is blurry? Oh, hell yeah. Of course it's blurry. Nobody's ever seen the structures. They're going to be blurry, all right. Burning source on the moon's surface. So the telescope's moving over. This is a stationary object where we see a yellow flame or something. It is, and there's no filter here. Guys, the exposure is taken down. This is all I did. The moon, say to yourself, is dark at night. It's not bright like that, okay? But we're seeing that, right? We're seeing the shine from Earth, right? But if, the closer we get to the moon, the dimmer it's going to get. Once you enter that the moon's atmosphere, I'm assuming, I haven't been there very often. Here's Clavius Crater. And look at the top and the back, those covers. Nothing else. What are they? Clouds, covers? You know, look how they're floating there. So we're panning over to the, I like calling it the spaceship. I know many have called that the spaceship. But again, we're along the Terminator line. You can see on the bottom right there, a massive, impressive, long, towering anomaly where you see some objects coming off of it in the center. Two lines. I don't know. It looks, again, out of place. All the broken up craters that NASA always says that it's chipping away, even though they say there's no oxygen there, right? But anyways, look at the pipes. I think they're really pipes, and they're going inside of the ground. Take note when I talk to you about an anomaly, notice that it's not a pixel. Dougsy Bonez. Doug, thanks a lot, man. See? Crawlface. Bro, thank you so bloody much for the ongoing support, and love your videos, by the way. You're a smart guy, a fountain of knowledge, man. Thanks for being here, supporting the channel. You guys are my force. Thanks, everyone.
This is Houston. Say again, please.